Welcome to another episode of Against the Insanity. We've got Jason, Ricky, Nick, and my brother from the same mother, Brent. We are coming to you on Halloween today. I guess this would kind of be our Halloween episode, even though I feel like we're living a Halloween episode currently right now. In general, after I fucked up the first time we were trying to record this.
You had a Biden moment, right?
It's all right.
Was it a throwback? A hashtag throwback?
Well, I can tell you I didn't shit my pants.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That is a good thing.
So what's going on, Brent? Welcome to the show.
Nothing much, just enjoying a shitty, rainy weekend. But other than that, pretty good.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, had a pretty good weekend so far as well. We got together last night, played some Gears.
Hell yeah. It was nice.
Nick was a little, preoccupied yesterday. Couldn't get back to his homies or anything. Mm-hmm. He had a very, extremely busy day with his mattress yesterday.
It's Ricky's wishful thinking. I had a splendid day resting on a horizon through the sky in a pleasant, exquisite moment.
Taking 6 hours to make a grilled cheese.
Right.
You damn right.
Mattress loving, had him a blast. Motherfucker.
Insert a joke here.
There you go.
Insert a joke here. So I'm curious. I mean,
I'm lacking in the jokes. Damn.
You were away all day. Couldn't hit anyone back. We texted you, didn't hear a peep.
I said it'd be late, and then
yeah, but then you never got on. So I assumed that
after dinner, I was just like, I'm just chilling.
Yeah, I assumed the fire department showed up and used the jaws of life to get you out of your mattress. Is that what happened?
Well, what had happened was he confused his lube with super glue.
Oh, damn.
So,
That sucks.
If I haven't heard these words before, oh man.
What, every other night in Discord?
Pretty much.
I think instead of texting, I think Nick was sending smoke signals.
Yeah.
just throwing it out there.
Yeah, the one word I'm slow with jokes and comebacks and shit.
I mean, your fire department's there, what, weekly at this point?
they know him by name.
Yeah.
Damn.
He just calls. He's like, "Hey guys, you know what the deal is. Can you get here?"
It's gonna be like Ricky has some fantasies in his head.
It's gonna be the usual today.
It'll be I'll take the usual today. The Jaws of Life special in my mattress.
The Jaws of Life special. I mean, hey, you got to give him something to do.
So, I was just going to say, you were talking about Biden. Do we want to kick that one off first?
We might as well. So yesterday on Twitter, it started trending hashtag Poopy Pants Biden. So I don't know if you're following or not, but the rumor has it that when around Rome, that Biden's meeting with the Pope was unusually long because Biden had a bit of a bathroom accident at the Vatican, and it had to be addressed prior to him leaving.
Interesting.
I mean, here's a question.
Go ahead.
I know I'm interrupting, but
no.
Could you really tell between Biden or the Pope which one sat themselves first? Because so much shit comes out of both their mouths. I mean, like, can anybody really tell?
Well, maybe Biden absorbed way too much of it from the Pope, and then just had a release.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It was a soft serve ice cream they had.
I want to find out if that's like legit, like for sure. That
it's still trending on Twitter. It's like there are like actually 3 trends on Twitter right now with Poopy Pants.
That's funny.
There's Poopygate, Poopy Pants.
Poopygate.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting right now in terms of. Let me go into the trending and see if it's still.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah, so number 4 in politics is Poopy Pants Biden.
That's funny.
I mean, if that's number 4, when's the fucking laptop number 1?
Yeah, the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop will never be fucking number 1.
I know. I was just working that in for a joke. Maybe that's the reason he shat himself.
It's censored for a reason.
My butt's been wiped.
Right.
Brings a whole new meaning to that leak, huh? You know what I mean?
He had a leak, that's for sure.
Anal leakage.
Yeah.
So since it's Halloween, I figured I would lead with this story. I know, people are trying to ruin Halloween more and more every year that comes along, but kind of wanted to talk about this story that we read on the Gateway Pundit. The ADL publishes ridiculous Halloween costume guide, urging parents to avoid costumes that perpetuate gender norms. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, can't be, you can't offend people on Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, all of them are a bunch of fucking idiots, and it just leads into with them eventually trying to tell anybody Spanish or Hispanics how they should be celebrating Day of the Dead. You watch, it's coming. They've already tried to slap an X to the end of Latino and Latina.
It's funny because, like, in this article, it says, many children and families don't realize that their costume choices are potentially harmful or offensive. For example, a child who may be interested in Native American stories and history wants to dress up as a Native American person. Consider it an opportunity to talk with them about how Native American dress is not a costume. Instead, it is an essential part of identity, unique to each different tribe with their own customs and ways of dress.
It's so stupid. Like, I think back to being a kid where, we had those little stupid plastic masks that basically were held to your face with like a rubber band. And the suit itself was like all plastic and shit like that. And it barely looked, they all almost looked the same. You really didn't look too different in terms of costumes and stuff. And it's just, I just think back to then when it was like so cool to dress up like an Indian, a Native American. Said fucking Indian, gonna offend somebody, but, or like a Ghostbuster and all this other shit. And now it's like you can't even dress up as your favorite movie character in the, like Moana or something like that without it being offensive or cultural appropriation. I'm so sick of it. Like, this kind of shit just really drives me fucking crazy.
Well, not only that, but like in the actual sincerity part of it, for anybody, let alone the kids that are dressing up like these people of different cultures that they try and fucking whatever, that kid might actually learn something just by dressing up and figuring a few things out themselves. They're gonna take that spark and that curiosity away and just slap it with a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Well, nowadays it's pretty much everyday Halloween for a lot of people. You can just feel however you want and be that, apparently. So, I mean, you could pretty much consider everyday Halloween.
That is true. I mean, you see these people dye their hair all these different
You're
colors.
allowed to identify however you want. So,
right.
I mean, this to me, you shouldn't worry about my costume. This is how I identify today.
Today, I'm actually identifying as Michael Myers, so in case you were wondering.
I identify as God today, so I have rule of law.
It's just bullshit. It's supposed to be like, something fun for kids to do. And then you start making it political and put this bullshit in people's heads. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, nobody ever worried about stuff like that.
No, dude. When I was, growing up and, I would go trick or treat and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you dressed up whatever you wanted and you didn't think about, oh, maybe I shouldn't wear this because I might offend this person, or, maybe I shouldn't do like that. Wasn't ever a, thought. And, politics is just involved in everything anymore. It's just bullshit. You can't even have fun.
Yeah, and I mean, when we used to go trick-or-treating, Brent, all the candy and stuff you guys used to get, I mean, you went trick-or-treating this week. How was it for you?
I mean, when I was expecting it to be a little bit worse, but I mean, just going down Railroad, I mean, there's maybe a house every 5 or 6 houses that's handing out candy. So, I mean, there was barely anyone out. There was a lot of kids out, so I mean, that was cool to see, but there was just barely anyone giving out candy. And I don't know if it was just, in our area, but I mean, it was kind of sad to walk around and see.
So, back in the day, if you had your lights out, I'd fucking egg your house. That's the way we rolled. But,
and we would take our fucking eggs and throw them right back at your bitch asses. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about that shit this year. And so, I was on Discord that night with you guys, and fucking doorbell started ringing. I was like, the fuck's going on? And then it was it clicked, oh shit.
So did you answer the door?
No, I turned the fucking lights because I forgot.
Asshole.
Nick's that fucking guy.
Yeah, Nick's the guy I'd be egging his house.
Yeah, and then I'd be coming around the back and just take some eggs that I ain't using the next day and throw them right back at you. Mm-hmm. It turned the neighborhood into a nice fun fight.
Mm-hmm.
Food fight, fuck. But I forgot about it myself. So, when I heard that shit going off, it clicked. And I was like, well, sorry, kids. This year sucks to be you.
Well, Nick's a part of the problem, then.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit, though, either.
It's so unfortunate that everybody ruins everything for us and kids can't just go out and have fun for a day. It's definitely not like I remember it.
No, definitely not.
I mean, when we were kids, we would get 3 bags full of candy. And then afterwards, we'd all go to the church parking lot and separate all the good candy away from the bad, because our dad would take 3 big handfuls filled of candy from each of our bags and take it to work for the next couple of weeks for lunch.
I know. He was such a ninja, dude.
That's how he taxed you guys. That's the dad tax.
Teaching us a government lesson.
Very early lessons of socialism. You did all this hard work trick-or-treating, now I'm going to take half your candy.
Right.
The people who really win are the ones that are smarter than the government. You can enjoy those almond joys.
Exactly. Right? You have a secret bag with the good candy. You give
or the fucking the mints, whatever those fucking mints were, too, that you always got. Fucking just handed those fucking things out.
There's this lady who was handing out dried peaches or whatever they're called.
The freeze-dried.
She gives them to my one nephew, and he looks at him and just hold this, Uncle Brent.
He doesn't even want them. Don't give me that shit.
That's funny.
So I guess I wanted to kind of follow up here now that the story's kind of more and more has been coming out about this story about the whole Alec Baldwin fatal shooting. I guess he came out and was speaking to press the other day, basically, just kind of cover this from the New York Post. She was my friend. A haggard-looking Alec Baldwin broke his silence on Saturday, declaring his friendship to Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer he accidentally shot and killed on the set of the film Rust last week. There are incidental accidents on film sets from time to time, but nothing like this. Who looked forlorn at times and sounded hoarse, told a reporter from the back grid as he stood on the side of the road in Vermont, traffic whizzing by behind him. This is 1 in a trillion episode and a 1 trillion event. It's funny. I watched that video that, this interview that they're talking about here. And he basically said, it's been a long time since this has happened or something like that. He basically didn't even address what happened on the movie The Crow. He acted like that never even happened.
Well, right.
The interview.
Well, not only that, but before this movie, Rust, there was a movie that came out with Nicolas Cage, The Old Way. She was also the armorer, for that movie as well. Mm-hmm. And there were some issues there. So,
well, he yelled at her. Yeah, he yelled at her. He's like, fucking warn me before you fucking fire off a gun. I guess she fired it off twice without letting him know.
Yeah, so more and more shit's coming out about this story. There was an investigation, obviously. They ended up confiscating a replica firearm, 12 revolvers, and 1 rifle, as well as over 500 rounds of ammo. On the set, during their investigation, they saw that there was a spent blank round that was, fired. and an empty box of ammo. Hannah Reed is her name, claims that she does not know where the real ammunition came from. She mentions that, safety is her number one priority, throughout, shooting of these movies. But my question is, okay, safety is your number one priority, not only in this movie, Rust. Before Helena was shot, I heard rumors that the gun went off a few times before she was shot as well.
That's true. Yeah, it discharged twice during the day beforehand.
Right. So safety is your number one priority. The gun was going off before she was shot. You know what I mean? There's clearly signs here that, guns were definitely mishandled here. And not only on this set, but like I said, the old way, there were 2 crew members that came out and kind of spoke about Hannah. They mentioned how reckless she was with guns on set. She would, kind of be pointing them in a manner that is not acceptable whatsoever with, firearms. And she would not announce that guns were coming out on set to warn people, hey, so-and-so's gun is coming out on set now. Just details that you would give people so everyone is safe and they follow proper, guidelines there. And then, she shot a gun off during the old way. Nicolas Cage, was pissed. He, left the stage there, and he basically said, you just shot my fucking eardrums out. You know what I mean?
You blew my fucking eardrums out, I believe.
Yeah. And she was just being very unsafe. And Nicolas Cage came out and said, she needs to be fired, immediately. This is not, acceptable. And they continued, shooting that movie. And then after this movie was done is when they did Rust. And here we are, same person being irresponsible.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
My comment's a joke, so I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, I was just going to say that if safety was her number one priority, no one would be dead right now.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead up then, too, with whoever is her sensei must be very disappointed. Because fucking A. I mean, if whoever gave her certificate to be an armorer, you should even fucking take theirs right off the wall.
Is a famous armorer, which is probably how she got
the job. Right.
I
guarantee.
Go ahead. Now, and so in some aspects, that's one thing, but did they not do a simple quick check from beforehand from the last movie she worked on? Probably not.
Well, like I said, they were demanding her to be, fired on the spot, the last movie she did. And The Old Way was her first movie where she was the head armorer, basically in charge. And she's shown to be very irresponsible during that. And here we are, her next movie, Rust, and, you see what happens here. Well, another thing that I mentioned, and I told you guys this from the very beginning, for some reason, I have a feeling that this is going to be turned around and she's going to be held basically 100% responsible for the incident. And,
right.
To a degree, yes, I think she is to blame, but I don't know if they're going to try to, spin this here that Alec Baldwin is 100% innocent here, as well. Because
you go first. No, you go first.
Because one thing I was going to say is Alec Baldwin's been very open about coming out publicly, and he wants to talk to police, he wants to talk to the public, kind of get his side out there. But then anytime Hannah's story is said, it's always coming from her attorney, and in some ways, maybe that is a good thing. You know what I mean? You don't want to incriminate yourself and say something that's oh, you fucked up, you said this, and now you're, you know what I mean? Right. So but Alec Baldwin is very open, and he's in the forefront, and I think, partially he's trying to make it look look, I'm the victim here. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, since you're going this thing, I was going to save it, but now I'm just going to jump into it. I mean, well, no shit. I mean, look at it's publicity, man. They usually say any PR is good PR. Well, sometimes in certain cancel culture, with cancel culture and up in arms, sometimes bad PR ain't good PR. Now, if you scroll down a little further on the page when it starts to really get into the pictures, and it's a closer zoomed in one on his face, where he's got you see the photo, it's more higher shoulders. And if you take a good look at his face, you see them lines around the eyes and some of the perfect circle spates on both fucking eye, in both eye regions. Doesn't it look like he was wearing something there with a little bit of pressure to make it look like his fucking, like he's been restless?
Here we go.
I'm just saying, man, devil's in the details.
Here we go.
Hey. I'm telling you, guy, marketing and PR.
But another thing that came from his last public statement is Alec Baldwin is welcoming discussion on eliminating guns in Hollywood productions.
Yeah, I see a quote here. He said,
marketing and PR, motherfuckers. Marketing and PR.
Oh, go ahead, Brent.
I see a quote here. I do know an ongoing effort to limit the use of firearms on set is something I'm extremely interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and here's another thing, though. Like, Alec Baldwin was sitting there in that interview. Like, if you watch the video, talking about how the movie set was chugging along and they were doing so well. Well, reality, what you don't hear is how half the crew quit during the day. They walked out because of unsafe working conditions and how they were unhappy. There's a lot that he's saying publicly that I think, and I don't use this as a pun, but I think he's going to probably end up shooting himself in the foot somewhere along the line, because there's a lot of shit that was wrong with the filming, right. And the movie, from what I understand now, has been canceled too. They're not going to continue filming the movie, if I understand that correctly.
Right.
And Hollywood, and I heard this from a lot of conservative commentators, and I think it stands true too. Had they just hired like a consultant, somebody who is of the right mind, and knows how to handle guns properly, and just almost as like an advisor. If they don't know a lot about guns, it's not afraid to don't be afraid to admit you don't, and actually hire somebody who knows what the fuck they are doing. But they won't do that because they don't agree with their points of view, and that's why you have somebody here who has no idea how to probably handle guns after all this shit had happened. You know what I mean? They shouldn't have been handling guns in the first place, or let alone being in charge of the safety in the set with guns. I don't know. That's pretty fucked up.
No, I agree. I mean, there needs to be something on, if you're going to have a gun. I mean, if you're going to have a movie production and it's going to involve firearms, guns, you should have somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, how to handle them in a safe manner, and and just like you said, I mean, we're talking about Hollywood here. They tend to have a lefty more mindset, and they're not going to have somebody on the right that knows what the hell they're doing with firearms safely handle them and teach people how to use them. And, I feel just like you said, I agree 100%. If they had somebody that had a better mindset, knew guns, this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have been an issue.
I'm yes and no. And the reason why I'm saying that, because this is me being a piece of shit, devil's advocate here. If forget some of the normal logic right now, and throw in COVID, you throw in, I'm not going to go in because that can turn into a whole other way. I'm just going to throw that in there. People do or do not, certain requirements to work in certain industries. Maybe other more experienced armors, there were certain requirements that made them go, yeah, no, I'm stepping away. And then you get somebody irresponsible coming in who has a chance to do good, to actually show they might be responsible and mature to handle that role during this period of life, and they fucked up royally. That is an argument you have to throw out there.
I don't think, somebody that is more conservative, if you had her and a conservative and the person that was on, the right there, you could say, had better experience, they were still going to hire her no matter what, because they didn't believe or agree with his views.
Oh, that's what happens when you're trying to check boxes. And I mean, no disrespect.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's exactly why. Hire the person that's qualified for the job. I don't care who you are, as long as I'm not going to get my face blown off during one of the shoots. I mean, that's what really matters to me. Am I going to come home to my family at night? That should be the only fucking thing that matters, is safety. Yeah. But clearly they didn't give a shit.
Well, that's where we all agree on. Like, it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah. No, like I said, I mean, I talked to you guys, before when this first happened, and the two things that I predicted, it looks like it's coming true. I mean, they're going to somehow try to turn around the situation and put it completely on her. And secondly, they were going to make it political, and Alec Baldwin is doing that exact thing. oh, we need to eliminate guns in Hollywood production.
Well, coming from somebody who talks about shooting people on Twitter, I mean, come on, the dude is clearly off his rocker, and he talks about how people hopes people get shot and stuff like that too.
Right, and if you're that so against guns, then why you continue to do movies that have them in them?
Exactly.
Because they pay some millions of dollars. You know what I mean? They don't give a shit. They're hypocrites.
Right. They are.
Right. So, like, when filming a movie, why would you even need a real gun? I mean, you're telling me with all these special effects we can do nowadays, you can't create a fucking muzzle flash? All you need a gun that it just looks like you're shooting it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too.
Because I wouldn't trust any Hollywood actor with a gun in their hands.
That's true.
Isn't that the truth?
Unless it's like Dean Cain or something.
Clint Eastwood, maybe.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I mean, I wouldn't either, honestly, trust any of them.
A lack of common sense, a lot of inexperienced people, and there's a lot of experienced people that aren't dealing with this bullshit and who refuse to deal with it. So shit's gonna happen. There's gonna be accidents.
And here, unfortunately, somebody's life was lost over it.
And then you have piece of shit people like Baldwin using that to promote more bullshit and use that for their own PR. That's why I'm saying, go to when you're on the NewYorkPost.com/2021/10/30/ Alec Baldwin breaks silence on fate shooting of that name on Rust setup /AMP/ scroll down, you'll see the photos. Take a look at that cocksucker. Now, there's a couple of them, like I'm saying, you'll look, but then there's a few, you scroll further down, you can just tell. It's just fucking PR, man. It's just PR to him. That's it.
Like I said, if you don't like guns, whatever the case, okay, fine. You don't have to like guns. But then don't keep starring in movies that have them in them. If you're that much against them, just stop. Stop trying to change the industry and, we need to get rid of guns in all of Hollywood. Just don't star in the movies that have guns in them then at that point. And quit being an asshole.
If you're such an advocate against guns, I mean, it's not like he needs the money, right?
Right. Sort of bullshit.
While we're on the topic of assholes, I wanted to cover one of our other beautiful stories that has come out over, the last week and a half. This one comes from Fox News here. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Fauci testing on animals story at all.
Yeah, and I have my experience working clinic and that, so I'll wait till everyone's pretty much done with their opinion on that.
So go ahead, because I didn't hear a whole lot about it.
Well, I just want to, this is actually Rep. Nancy Mace demands Fauci answer for cruel taxpayer-funded experiments on puppies. So I'm just going to go down the article here just a little bit. Rep. Nancy Mace sent a letter to Dr. Anthony Fauci and the National Institutes of Health demanding answers to reports that taxpayer money from his department was used to subject dogs to abusive testing. Yesterday, I sent a letter to Dr. Fauci regarding, this is kind of like repeating itself. This is why I hate reading fucking articles. Thankful to my 23 Democrat and Republican colleagues who signed on. This is disgusting. So I don't know if you're familiar with some of the stories, but basically they had dogs, they had their vocal cords removed and their heads were in this almost like a fencing kind of thing. And they were basically eating sand fleas and stuff like that, eat them alive, and other kind of experiments that he was doing on the dogs. It's really hard to kind of look at because I don't know. He got caught, and I mean the pictures leaked out. That was one of the big things. You saw the photo of the dogs, with the beagles, with their heads in those, and there were all kinds of their faces were all mangled and shit from the fleas eating their face. So it's kind of
so they were just letting these insects just eat these dogs' faces alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, science, guys. Science.
I see here in the article it says National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, which houses the NIH, issued the following statement. All animals used in the NIH-funded research are protected by laws, regulations, and policies to ensure the smallest possible number of subjects and the greatest commitment to their welfare. Well, how are you worried about any dog's welfare if you're letting bugs eat their face alive?
Well, then they killed them too.
Like how does that help anyone?
They're signed off as casualties for, and this is gonna get inhumane. Is I'm gonna try and be clean and respectful as possible. But this is gonna inhumane as fuck. Basically, I mean, with shit like that, and they're as soon as those dogs are bred within, they're just, it's just like chickens when you get from the fucking grocery stores, the eggs. We were talking about earlier, you know, throwing eggs, making jokes. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're just part of the cog system for that wheel mechanism to research data, collect data, and use it for any more advancements on experiments. It's some of the most sick shit you can fucking think of. Two, if you think about it, they're removing the vocal cords so that dog can't cry out for help or anything like that.
Yeah.
So essentially,
well, yeah, and that's real fucked up.
Well, and this is that point I'm getting to. The fact that you remove the vocal cords and that and some of the other things, that tells me that was just a production line for death. No aspect of life was really, for the individual animal, was given a fuck for at all. It was to see how they suffer, for how long can they suffer, and will this drug in this circumstance prevent it or make it worse. Those dogs, that entire whole deal is just death. It's a laboratory of death.
I guess if you could find any humor in this, it's just funny to me that, you know, all this woke left mob people who take Fauci's word as God, you know.
I think he's a disgusting human being.
And then he does this, and it's like, well, what about all the vegans who are, you know, all about, you know, animal humane, you know, all this bullshit, and then they'll take Fauci's word as God, and, you know, you need to get the vaccine, and I'm a piece of shit if I don't get the vaccine. Well, look at what he's doing.
Right.
And I'm supposed to trust him that this is safe.
Now, I'm going to take this a step further and build from this. Now, think about all the babies and the infants, human-wise, that they're trying to push that shit on too.
Oh yeah,
especially pregnant women.
Right. I just heard that they certified Pfizer to be used in kids now from like 5 to 11, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think that was the age range. You know, children are now safe to be taking this Pfizer vaccine, you know, ages 5 through 11 or some shit like that.
Well, look how many people, you know, who certified that from the FDA used to work for Big Pharma. That would be another thing you really need to look into. Once you start going down that rabbit hole, you understand where this is going. And, you know, you've got the gain of function research, too, that Fauci is on the hook for, that they're trying to sweep under the rug, too, about how this virus got out in the first place and how it became so bad. Well, I mean, testing on animals and seeing how taking these diseases and stuff like that and, you know, expanding on them and seeing how they affect humans then, well, I mean, I have a feeling we're going to see more and more about this as time goes on, and I don't think you're going to be able to hide it, but they're trying to scrub this shit from the NIH, you know, homepage and stuff. They're already like trying to backtrack and cover all this up.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Fucking scumbags. And, you know, coming from, you know, Amy and I, we work with rescues all the time about dogs and stuff like that. And to see, you know, some of the abuse and treatment that people, I mean, just on their own do with animals and stuff like that, it's rough, you know, and it's seeing stories like this really fucking piss me off, and especially about this asshole. I mean, I already have quite a few opinions about it.
What I don't truly understand here, though, is okay, you're doing this, yeah, and I don't even want to call it an experiment because, you know, I don't view it that way. But what was the purpose here of doing this to dogs?
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's funny because
they don't share the same genetic code that humans do. So what the fuck were these dogs used for?
Well, especially with sand fleas, I'm
thinking more of a parasitic. Well, I'm thinking it's more of a parasitic route, and we can venture back into this a little later as more shit comes out. But I'm thinking it's more of a parasitic line with decay in flesh. Because you've noticed some of the shit lately with water and parasites, and some of those articles lately, and some of the flesh-eating bacteria within the last 6 months.
I did see some of that shit kind of surfacing. I haven't, you know, looked into it
right. I've
crazy
seen
yet.
it there.
But yes, I did notice that there are some things that have been coming up lately about just that.
Well,
oh, you mean treating parasites like with ivermectin or horse paste?
also this beautiful thing outside. It's called the sun. A little bit of vitamin C.
Right. Yeah, the whole vaccine thing. Look, if you want to get it, if you want to get it, go ahead. It's your choice. You have the right to do that. For the people that don't want to, I respect that too. You know what I mean? You don't want to get it, then you don't want to get it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But my thing, we've talked about this,
right.
off show, but, there has been a few cases where people have treated COVID in that manner using, ivermectin and everything else like that. And people were cured within 2 days, and they didn't get the very severe symptoms that people are in the hospital right now with, where they're dying on respirators, things like that. They did it this way, and they were back up and running 2 days later. I think there's something, I think that it should be looked into more. That's all I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying that is the end all be all, but I think it is worth investigating and looking into and seeing why the people that have treated it that way have rebound from this in 2 days, and they're fine. That's all I'm saying.
Follow the money. That's all I can say.
Oh, yeah.
What are you going to make money on, or what are you not going to make money on? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, and you'll start to understand the big picture.
Right. Yep. I've seen, these people that have treated this way, and they recovered in 2 days. The medication that were used, a few bucks. What they're using in the hospital is a hell of a lot more than that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I've been saying Ponzi scheme since 2019, around the time of 23andMe broke, when they fucking sold data illegally.
Yeah, I mean,
that got screwed.
If you're not paying anything for a product, you are the product.
Yep.
I mean, they're selling your information and all kinds of shit. So, I mean,
right.
Look at Facebook Meta. I mean, come on now.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something we need to talk about next show.
Yeah,
Facebook changing their name to Meta. We'll talk about that next week.
Well, it's an interesting name too, but yeah, we'll definitely visit that on the next show because I have my theories.
I'll have at least one good Florida man stories for all you listeners out there next week.
Just like a little bit of a show update. We have our YouTube channel, Against the Insanity, up. We post all the shows there. I'm also posting simultaneously on Rumble. So on both of those, I don't really host the show anywhere like podcast wise yet because we're trying to spend as little money as possible till we maybe get more of a following and kind of fine tune the show. But you can find us in those two places. A lot of my friends too, I'll send the show out to you just so you can check it out and give us a little bit of feedback as well. I mean, we're not going to be perfect, but hey, I mean, this is something that we really like to do. Just get together and shoot the shit and put it out there. See what you think.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just wanted to thank you guys for having me on the show today as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Forward to having you on in the future as well, moving forward.
Hell yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, guy.
All right, gentlemen. Episode 4, Against the Insanity. Until next time. See you later.
Happy birthday, Nick.